Welcome to another edition of Unconventional Playbook. Come on in, come on in, come on in. We got a treat today. I got something special for all of UP Nation out there. We got a very special guest in the house. If you haven't checked out the Purple Pocket Podcast, you got to do that. We got on board today Vocal Bike, my man Rap, who is gracing our platform today. I've been on his show a couple times, and now he's gracing our platform today to talk a little bit of Minnesota Vikings. And this is one of the, in my opinion, this is one of the best content creators out there. Rap, thank you, man, for coming on the show. I appreciate your time.
Man, absolutely, Coach, man. Thanks for having me. You know, I feel like we were way past due anyways, so, hey, but timing is perfect, though. You know what I mean? There's a lot to talk about. I'm sure you got a lot over there in the cut that you're going to bust out today. So I'm excited to talk about it, have that dialogue, man. So, again, man, thank you for having me on, for sure.
Hey, man, I really appreciate you being here. Man, when I was a little kid, obviously with any little kid, Christmas was one of my favorite days. You get all the presents, you got everything under the tree. You got the glitz, you got the glimmer of the Christmas tree, everything. Now that I'm an adult, it's like Minnesota Vikings training camp opening up. It's like Christmas to me, man. So I'm super excited. A lot of news coming out this past week. So I couldn't wait to get you on the show because I wanted to pick your brain about a lot of things, man. I just wanted to pick your brain about a lot of things. I actually didn't cover some things on my show because I'm like, okay, I got Rap coming on this weekend. And so I just wanted to pick your brain about a lot of stuff. My first question to you, Rap, is obviously this is a very exciting time. New quarterback, JJ McCarthy, new franchise quarterback. All eyes are on him. Everybody wants to see what he does. But give me some things that you are looking forward to viewing this training camp into the preseason, into the 2025 season.
Man, I'm super excited about the offensive line, to be honest with you. You know, it's funny because a lot of Vikings fans, especially the younger generation, because I remember as a young Vikings fan, offensive line, defensive line, just really didn't look at it like that. As I'm getting older into my Vikingism, I'm getting the wisdom. I realize, this year, and I've done it for a couple years, but this year in particular, just based off of the moves we made and being able to really sit back last season and realize that we have a real issue that will continue to linger if we don't correct it, right? Because I feel like year after year, we make one or two moves there, we draft there. So I was like, all right, maybe we'll be good now, but then we're not. So like this year right here, I think I'm solely focused. Obviously, like you said, JJ McCarthy, I think every fan wants to see what that, not even just Vikings fans, the nation in general, the NFL community in general is ready to see what that turns into. But our offensive line, I think, is going to dictate a lot of things that happens. It's going to dictate a lot of our success in 2025. So that's why I'm going to pay super close attention to that, going into training camp, watching. I know they don't really go full blown, but, I'm still going to pay attention and look for the little tidbits that people are talking about when it comes to the center, Kelly, when it comes to Will Fries. Right. We already know Christian Darrisaw is going to do his thing. We know O'Neill's going to do his thing. But what is this rookie going to look like in Donovan Jackson? I'm paying close attention to that. So that's my main thing. One more thing real quick is just the wide receiver battle, because I feel like we do have a battle here. I'm not going to put too much weight into wide receiver 3. My expectations for wide receiver 3 as a fan isn't through the roof. I mean, it's the wide receiver 3. I just need you to do a couple things good. And I'm excited to see what Ty Felton can bring to the table going up against a guy like Jalen Naylor, Rondale Moore. I think we got some names in there, man. It's gonna be a heck of a training camp, man. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, man. I'm right there with you when it comes to the offensive line, Rap, because what was glaring to me last year when we lost in the playoffs and we looked at the Super Bowl, I mean, you had the Philadelphia Eagles, and anybody that watched the Eagles, when you looked on both sides of the ball of that football team, their offensive line was absolutely devastating. Their defensive line was absolutely devastating. So watching that game, I was like, that's where we got to get. And I think KOC, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, saw the same thing. I mean, it just popped off the TV at you. And so I'm right there with you in terms of that offensive line. What I want to see is, I think last year I think we were one of the worst teams in the league in terms of red zone production. Like we couldn't get the ball into the end zone, especially running the football. And when you look at those Detroit Lions games where they had multiple turnovers in those games and they couldn't move the ball, and we had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to score, and we just couldn't get it done, we just handed the game to the Lions. Like, that's an area where I think we're going to improve because we got that revamped offensive line. We got the tank Jordan Mason in the backfield to be a tandem with Aaron Jones. I think our production in the red zone is going to be a lot better. So I'm looking forward to that. You mentioned wide receiver 3. Like, I got my eyes on that as well. But here's my question to you, because I thought about this. You know, in this system, how productive can the wide receiver 3 be? Because you already got Jets. You got Jordan Addison, who we know is going to be suspended for 3 games, and I hope that happens at the beginning of the year. But you also have what I call the insurance policy in terms of TJ Hawkinson. So those 3 weapons are taking up a lot of reps. Do you feel like the wide receiver 3, like right now that's slotted as Naylor, do you think they can be super productive like in this offense?
Yeah, so I think where they become super valuable is going to be third downs and also, like you just stated, red zone. I think that's where the wide receiver 3 is going to come into play. That and it kind of showed last year. That's why Naylor had as many touchdowns as he had without a ton of yards, but he scored a lot of touchdowns because one thing's for sure with Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell's scheme is all about spacing and timing, which a lot of football is about spacing and timing, but he really emphasizes that, knowing how to use, like, for example, he uses Justin Jefferson without using Justin Jefferson. And who does that make available? Well, your wide receiver 3. Now your tight end, because he uses Addison the same way. He'll get JJ and Addison running to one spot of the field so that the whole other half of the field is cleared up for a guy like TJ Hawkinson, Jalen Naylor, Rondale Moore, and they have to make the play. I was talking about a play last night, Coach, that go back to Jalen Naylor. It was, and I thought it was one game, but the chat corrected me. It was the Tennessee Titans game. I'm gonna take you back with me.
Okay.
And Jalen Naylor running a seam route, man. I mean, perfect route. I mean, there were 2 people. The safety was high, but he wound up beating the nickel. But they were there. They were still on his trail, right? Sam Darnold dropped that ball. And we still won the game ultimately. So, but still, those things are going to make a difference playing against a good football team. The Titans weren't that, but still, yet it put us in a position. The ball dropped. I mean, Sam Darnold couldn't have walked that ball down there and handed it to him any better. Like, that's the thing. And Jalen Naylor dropped that football. And there's been a couple footballs that he dropped, and he made a couple good plays too. But there's footballs that he dropped, right? And the ones that he dropped are what matters to me, not so much the ones he caught. And I'm gonna tell you, man, I think KOC looks at that. I think we're looking for that person that, hey, look, you may only get this amount of opportunities, but with that being said, you have to be perfect. Like, that's the standard. Like, with no drops. All right, you're only getting the ball 3 times a game. You need to catch all 3 of them because this play is specifically for you to capitalize because we need you in this moment. Hey, got to be a dog to make those things happen, man.
Yeah, man. And Naylor has had the drops. And then you had Felton, who's got a history of drops in college. So I've got eyes over there at training camp. People are like, those 2 guys are doing extra work on the jug machines.
Yeah.
Because they know to solidify that spot, they've got to be able to catch the football. And then, Rondale Moore, if he can stay healthy, man, the knock on him has always been unreliability, always being on the PUP list or always being on the injured reserve list. If he can stay healthy, he can add another dimension to this offense. That's the guy that I'm really rooting for because I know his potential, I know his ceiling. He's just got to be healthy. What are your thoughts on Moore?
Man, I like Moore too, man. I like the idea of Moore too. Like when I think about, I know Vikings fans, when y'all see this is a crazy take. I'm not saying he is said player, but what I am saying is he reminds me a little bit of him how he plays, and I'm gonna go Percy Harvin. As far as their play style,
I can see that.
their stature, there's a lot of similarities. You know, they both light-skinned brothers. You know what I'm saying? Both light-skinned brothers. You know what I'm saying? But like, you know, just the way they play, because we got to remember, some people may forget, but Rondale Moore coming out of college, man, he was one of, I think, if not the fastest wide receiver coming out that year, man. He ran like I think he ran a 4.29 or something up in that
you
range.
You are correct. Yep.
You know, and look, man, we talking about a burner. Yeah, we talking about a burner. Now, in the Vikings, people called, you know, I know we called Jalen Nailor speedy, but he's not a burner. I don't know where he got the speedy name from. I'm not saying he's not fast, because I think every NFL wide receiver is fast. But like, no, Rondale Moore is what you call fast. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's fast for real. So, and it's one of those things where I think, as a Vikings fan, I can't remember the last time we seen us have a player that can really get the ball in his hands and at any moment can take it to the crib. When you're talking about like Percy Harvin, what Percy Harvin would do on screen passes and things like that, or even just slants up the middle. If they're playing man to man, well, if that nickel or that outside corner is one step behind him, it's a touchdown. It's a touchdown. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to tackle him before he gets his hands on that football, because if he grabs it, you're not catching him. And I look forward to seeing kind of those type of things happen with Rondale Moore. I know Delton over in the community, man, he's super high on Rondale Moore, and kind of was calling me on it, saying, man, listen, man, you need to start talking about this guy more, because people are sleeping. And I do think the Vikings fans are sleeping. Some of us, I think we forget he's even on the roster.
Exactly.
But I'm excited.
Yeah, super excited about that, man. And the last time you and I talked, I believe it was on your show, we talked about the percentages of run and pass, what this offense was going to look like. And, you know, I think a lot of people out there are thinking KOC is going to run the football more than he's ever run the football. And I remember you saying, you was like, I don't know if that's going to be the case. You know, obviously they're going to have the ability to be able to run the football more effectively. But I think you were like, I don't think they're going to run the football more. Man, I'm starting to get on that side of the fence with you. I'm looking at all the toys that KOC has to play with, and I'm looking at the speed at the skill positions. I'm looking at the threat of the running game, obviously that revamped offensive line. And JJ McCarthy, I know people get exhausted about everybody talking about JJ McCarthy, but he's the highest drafted quarterback in franchise history. Hey, man, hey, listen. And then he's a quarterback that can make all of the throws. Like, he doesn't have that big cannon arm, let's say like a Sam Darnold, but he can throw the outs. He can throw the seam routes. He can throw the intermediate drag routes that the wide receivers run. I don't think Sam Darnold can do that, and I think that's why we came up short. What do you think this offense is going to look like, man? I'm looking at it, and it could go a lot of different ways. I mean, they could be run heavy. I've heard some content creators saying that they're going to try to replicate what Michigan did to make JJ McCarthy more comfortable. I really don't see that from KOC. I know he wants to run the ball more, but if you had, right now we don't know because we haven't seen anything, but if you had to guess what this offense is going to look like with all the pieces that we have in place, give me your thoughts on how KOC is going to mesh all this stuff together, man.
Yeah. So I was on record talking about how when we went into the process of getting JJ McCarthy, I was on record saying, man, look, man, the Minnesota Vikings, you know, like you just said, they need to try to replicate the Michigan's roster structure, right? Yep. Meaning go heavy in the trenches, offensive line, defensive line, and then also make sure that you get some running backs that can be productive behind those lines. And, you know, I thought about it. I'm like, you know, because they won a national championship, it was successful. JJ obviously was super comfortable on third down in that type of setting. So, and, you know, NFL, we all know third down is the most important down. So like that's what got me excited, right? But now that I think about it, as I sat back and thought about it, I'm like, you know what? JJ, first of all, like you said, can make every throw. All this, we need to baby him and hand the ball up. Man, let's knock it off. Let's knock it off, please. Because JJ can make every throw. Let's just call it for what it actually is. Is there things he may need to work on? Yes. Patrick Mahomes is going into training camp with things he wants to work on.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's 3 Super Bowls in. Like the quarterback, if you're a great player, you're always going to feel like there's things I need to work on. And there's going to be things, regardless of how you feel, that you need to work on. right? So and I look at it like this, man. First of all, I think he has everything we need as far as the moxie, the leadership, and all that. But when I look at the offense with Kevin O'Connell and Wes Phillips and Josh McCown behind there, I just don't see them saying, all right, from 2024 to 2025, we're just going to turn this whole offense around now. We're just going to change our whole identity.
I don't see that either. Yep.
Kevin O'Connell is a former quarterback, all right? He's said it 1,000 times how much pride he takes in, first of all, evaluating a quarterback he just loves it. That's his passion, is evaluating young quarterbacks and quarterbacks that are still in the league that may not have an opportunity just for future reference, just in case, like he did Sam Darnold, right? You think he likes to do that to make his quarterback hand the ball off? No, no. He does that because he's about to put his quarterback in position to throw that rock. I'll say this. I think we're going to be exactly the same in a way as far as percentages go, 60-40. That's really how I feel. I don't even think it's going to be 50-50. It's going to be 60-40. But what's important is in that 40% that we are going to turn around and run the ball. First of all, the running backs will be able to get more yards. Based off the offensive line, they should be able to get more yards per carry because the hole should be bigger. Everything, they should be blocking better. So they should be able to get more yards per carry than last year. And so that equals being more efficient in the run game. It's not about doing it more. It's just about being more efficient when you do it. And I think that's what Minnesota's going to lean on. And that was their goal, in my opinion, when they made these moves with Fries and drafting Donovan Jackson and Kelly. I think that was the idea, was we don't have to run the ball more, but we got to get better at running the ball. So,
more efficient.
I see it like that. Yep. That's how I see it, man. And you know what? With that formula, we're going to be a hell of a team.
Yep. Totally agree with that. You're listening to Unconventional Playbook. Got my guy Rap from the Purple Pocket podcast, Vocal Vike. His link will be in the comments. Go out and check out his show, man. It's fire. Rap.
Let's go.
Help me out with this, man. Help me out with this. All of the hate that seems like is coming to JJ McCarthy, especially from a lot of these national pundits out there, man. More specifically, Colin Cowherd. I've done a couple of podcasts on it. You've done a couple of podcasts on it. And I just don't understand the take. Like, if you want to take the side of things that JJ McCarthy is not going to be an elite quarterback, I think the verdict is still out on that. Like, I can wrap my mind around that and see that. I think he has a lot more to show. He's got to prove himself a little bit. But I just don't understand the takes that he's a C-level quarterback, that he's not going to be very good, where everywhere he's gone, he has been successful. And then the take about him having a limp arm, I'm like, are people not watching film? Like, when you look at JJ McCarthy and you look at him orchestrate an offense, there's nothing about his film that jumps out to me in terms of him having a weak arm. Like, when you hear people have those kind of takes, like, where's that coming from? What am I missing when it comes to JJ McCarthy? Because I know I'm a little biased. I love my purple, and I love our franchise quarterback. Yep. But is there something out there that we're missing? Is there a piece of film? Is there a game where, when you hear limp arm, C-level quarterback, maybe we're missing something out there? What's going on with the hate with JJ McCarthy, man?
Man, I think, first of all, I really truly feel like Colin Cowherd doesn't like the Minnesota Vikings in general. Like, because I can't remember the last time I even heard him speak good about the Minnesota Vikings. If you think about it, he did this to Kirk Cousins too. Now, a lot of fans, we obviously, especially me, you had a bunch that also liked and agreed what was going on with Kirk Cousins with the Minnesota Vikings. I wasn't one of them, but watching the national media, they did the same thing with him. Even if he had 4,000 yards, they still were, down on him, especially Colin, man. Colin, I think he has something against the Minnesota Vikings. I'm being real. I think he has something against the Minnesota Vikings. And now that JJ McCarthy is the quarterback, he's just getting a lot of the blunt of the energy that he's putting out there. But I will say this to Colin, man. Listen, bruh, for the hate that you have for a 22-year-old kid that's coming out of college in the NFL, trying to be great, and you continuously, show after show, got to bring it up and call him a C quarterback. All of this based off of no evidence that you have. You have no evidence to try to talk as if it's absolute. You know what I mean? Like, that's what bothers me. It's one thing for me and you and or maybe another Vikings content creator that may not be a fan of JJ and they get on there as a fan doing this and talking. But for somebody to get paid millions of dollars because you're quote unquote a professional at what you do, and to go on TV, national TV, and just sit there over and over again and just, oh, he's this and he's that. And I mean, the hate is deep. You know, it lets me know that it's deeper than just JJ McCarthy. There's something else there where it has to do with the Minnesota Vikings and JJ McCarthy. But he's going to be eating a ton of crow. Listen, when it comes to Colin Cowherd's quarterback takes, for the people that don't know the history, he's wrong more times than he's right.
Absolutely.
All the time. Josh Rosen. He thought Josh Rosen was going to be the next Tom Brady. Oh, that kid is that. Where is he at? You feel me? Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold. He finally was able to boost up. And the only reason why he hyped this up last year a little bit was because Sam Darnold was his darling. His take finally came right. You know what I mean? 8 years later. But, I will say this, Coach. At the beginning, there was a ton of hate. I think there was a lot of people really hate, especially national media, right? Like a lot of hate. I'm seeing some of those channels or whatnot start to convert over to, sitting back and thinking like, you know what? Let me not put so much energy into the name of the quarterback. So when I try to gauge if he's going to be successful or not, let me look deeper than the surface level and think about how Kevin O'Connell got this player and that player and this player to look better than what most people thought they were. And now they're starting to come to their senses like, oh no, JJ going to be good. He's going to be good. And the reason he's going to be good is because KOC and the infrastructure we have in Minnesota. That's just what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, man, when I look at it, I am confident that when you hear the verbiage that he is going to be a C-level quarterback or that he's not going to be that good or he's overrated and people talk about the limp arm thing, I think it's going to go down in history as one of the worst takes that anybody has ever had about a quarterback coming out of the draft. I mean, I just don't see that from JJ McCarthy. I think the kid is going to be top level. Is he going to make some mistakes his rookie year? Essentially, absolutely, man. And I think a lot of people are going to jump on that the first time he throws an interception in the game or something like that. But I think over the next 3 years, and I'm looking at long term, I think the Minnesota Vikings got it right. I think they got it right in terms of our franchise quarterback. I always argue that the Minnesota Vikings have not won a Super Bowl, right? And I think once the Super Bowl team starts to get built, I think a lot of Viking fans won't know what they're seeing anyway. Not the dog Viking fans, but there hasn't been anything we could compare to in terms of a Super Bowl team. Man, what I'm smelling right now from Kwesi, KOC, everything that they have in place, the big thing is that Kwesi came in and cleaned up a lot of the books. I think we still have $20+ million to spend this year in terms of the salary cap. The best thing that he did was get rid of Kirk Cousins. Now we have JJ McCarthy under a rookie contract to be able to really build this team out. And I think JJ McCarthy is going to be the key to that. I think he's going to hit. A little bit of bad news that came out of camp, and I don't think it's super bad. Is JJ's or Jet's hamstring yesterday that came out. In terms of timing, is not a big deal, man. He's got all the training camp to heal that. I think they're going to wear kid gloves with him in terms of using him for the preseason. He wasn't going to play that much anyway. I think they were going to get him ready for the first game. But it's about the chemistry, man. It's about the chemistry that he needs to build with JJ McCarthy. His hamstrings, him being out, not being able to build chemistry with JJ McCarthy, is that a big deal? Is that a big deal to you, Rap?
It's not a huge deal to me. I do, going back to earlier speaking about Kevin O'Connell's offense and the way he likes to do things, a lot of it's based off timing and spacing. And I think so there is some kind of, I'm not going to say concern, because there's no concern with me or I don't think any Vikings fan that does JJ need to be at training camp to be able to produce during the season? I don't think that's a question. But I will say for JJ McCarthy, I think it's a deal where, every rep is crucial. just based off of, him missing last season too, not being able to get those reps in. But from a scale 1 to 10, I'll put it at like a 4. I'm not panicked. I'm just saying it's unfortunate that, that's just to keep it straightforward. It's unfortunate because I do believe this training camp, the joint practices of the world, when we're going to be meeting up with, I believe we're doing a joint practice with is it the Browns maybe, or the Patriots? Whatever.
Patriots, that's what it is.
Patriots.
Yep.
Like I would have loved to see obviously JJ clips coming out against their defense, against another team's defense in practice. But that man, at the end of the day, he's gonna be good for the season. I think that's what's more important, is that Justin Jefferson, there's no need to panic as far as the injury itself. They said it's the other hamstring, so it's not the one that he originally injured in 23, I believe it
Yeah.
was.
Yep.
So I mean that's also a plus. They said they're using verbiage like mild, not that serious. So it makes me feel good. I think back in the days with Mike Zimmer, they would use terminology like that, but then it would be a severe hamstring tear or something like that. So I'm pretty confident when this regime uses words like that, they're being straightforward. So again, man, it is what it is. Rest it, chill, get ready for September week 1, because we're gonna need you, man. We're gonna need you. But we'll see what happens, coach, man. JJ gonna be good. JJ McCarthy is going to be good regardless, I believe, too. So
Absolutely. I was listening to my guy, Judd Zolgad. He's locked into training camp. He got his little training camp notes. And, for all intents and purposes, he is like, JJ is lighting it up. He had one concern, though. A lot of his incompletions that he's had during training camp so far is coming from him going to jets. He's trying to fit the ball in areas to get the ball to jets that just aren't there. And he speculates that the adjustment that JJ McCarthy is going to have to make at quarterback is going up against NFL caliber number 1 cornerbacks, because that's who's going to be on jets the whole year. So those windows are closing a little bit faster than maybe JJ McCarthy is used to. The caliber of talent that's on the defensive side of the ball, he's got to get used to. Do you see that as a key adjustment that JJ McCarthy is going to have to make going up against NFL caliber cornerbacks?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of saw it right away. It's about the bounce back though, but we saw it right away in the preseason game last year. A play like that against because I think he was trying to throw it to Naylor, if I'm not mistaken. But
yep, that's who it was.
A play like that would have been open in college, right? But being the speed of Jack Jones being a number 1, because he actually was the Raiders' number 1 cornerback too. They had him out there playing. He was able to undercut that football, which in college, 9 times out of 10, JJ would have completed that throw. That's him, realizing, welcome to the NFL, like, hey, you can't be lollygag. You got to put the zip on that ball right there, because these guys are fast, they're stronger. Yes, the windows are going to be a lot smaller. And I think that's an adjustment for every, obviously rookie or young quarterback coming into the league. That is probably one of the biggest adjustments, is realizing like, hey, you don't have as much time as you did in college football. You don't have a 5-star wide receiver matched up against a walk-on going from this school playing defensive back against him, where you have a ton of time. You can take your time, lollygag, throw the ball. He's going to catch it, man. You got to really be sure when you're letting that ball out your hands and making sure you're putting the right zip on it. And yes, that is going to be a huge adjustment. I'm curious to see how that kind of develops over the course of the next couple months. Because my thing is with JJ McCarthy, I'm still giving him a grace period. I'm still going in like 6-7 weeks. I'm still going in like 6-7 weeks deep before I really start to sit back and say, is he the guy? Is he not? Is there things that I feel like he can get better at, or is this just him? Because there is certain quarterbacks where you see certain traits and that, can it be coach? Yeah, but it's probably not going to. And this is probably just who the guy is. And with JJ McCarthy, I'm curious to start seeing those type of things, like, so we can really evaluate what type of quarterback we actually have. Because regardless of what we believe, we still have to see the evidence. And I'm excited.
Absolutely, man. And you said a key word there. You said bounce back. And I think that's where JJ McCarthy is really going to excel. Like when you look at Sam Darnold, man, and look, I'm not here to bash Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold gave us a really good season last year. But I think if there was one area of critique when it comes to Sam Darnold is he didn't have that bounce back, man. Whenever he got sacked or he made a mistake, he really didn't have the attribute where he could come back from those type things. And you saw the small sample size with JJ McCarthy, throws the pick in the preseason game, and he comes back and he lights it up. And there's been, various, people talking about him in joint practices last year before he got injured and training camp where he would make a mistake. The coaches would come over and correct it. And the next time he throws a bomb deep, he's already lighting it up in training camp, connecting with Jordan Addison. Everybody talked about that play where he threw the ball over the top. Again, getting rid of the narrative out there that he has some sort of weak arm. I just think, the chemistry with all the weapons that we have in JJ McCarthy and his mindset more than his physical attributes is really going to benefit the Minnesota Vikings this year, man.
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, look, man, as a Vikings fan, you have to be excited about all the things going on right now in Vikings world. Just everything seems to be coming together. It feels right. I'll say that. I know as a fan, we can tend to think every year feels right, but there's something really different about this year just based off the intentionality of the front office. And hopefully, hopefully everybody stays healthy. That's the main thing too. Yeah, we need, because as Vikings fans, we've tend to run into some bad luck over the years, and our luck would be, I don't even want to put it in the universe, but our luck would be something happens to JJ McCarthy right before the season starts and we're back to square one again. And then I don't know, Coach, as a Vikings fan, if I can go a whole nother year talking about, the what's going to happen or what should happen. And that's the reality. Like, God forbid something happens, but if JJ McCarthy was to re-injure something or get injured again and be out for the season, I gotta say this, as hard as it's going to be, I may have to move on from there and then start start having different conversations. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but it may have to happen. Hopefully we don't got to get there though, man. We need a full year of our boy.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'm right there with you. It would be such a buzzkill to not have JJ McCarthy under center for whatever reason. I'm not really sold on Sam Howell. I know a lot of people like him. I'm not really sold on him. So, man, you're right. If that were to happen, and again, I'm not putting it out there in the ether, but if that were to happen, man, that would be the biggest buzzkill for the season. But you know what else feels right? You used the term, man, it just feels right. You know what else feels right?
Yeah.
Is Brian Flores's defense, man. There's been a couple of different publications that have us as the number one front seven in football. Yeah. And when you look at what we have, the talent that we have on paper, I mean, how can you argue with that assessment? Obviously, they're going to have to go out there and prove it, but when you look at them on paper, man, it's scary. And then you're talking about the mad scientist, Dr. Blitzenstein is what I call him. Like, people are talking about in training camp, he's coming up with different formations, hybrid formations that the NFL has never seen before. So he's went back in the lab during the offseason. It's like, okay, I know teams have a lot of my stuff on film now. How can I change? How can I be different? I've also heard reports that there have been times, Rap, that KOC gets a little bit frustrated because obviously he's on the offensive side of the ball. In practice, he wants to see execution from his offense, and then B-Flow throws something at him that just confuses everybody. Yeah. Man, how good can this defense be? Like, I've got my expectations. Like, I think they got to be top 5. I think this is going to be the best personnel that B-Flow has ever had since he's been here. Obviously, I want to see him be successful, Rap, and get his head coaching job, but I'm not mad that he's back. And now he's got all these toys, man, that he can play with. Like, how good can this defense be in 2025, man?
Man, I think it's like you said, I'm with you. I think it's going to be scary, for the opposing teams. We're at that. We're really into the meat and potatoes now with Brian Flores of, getting those years behind him with the Minnesota Vikings where he's really able to build the team and get personnel that he specifically likes, that he actually went out and and was able to say, you know what, this is the type of linebacker I think can make a difference. All right, this is the type of cornerbacks I like. Boom, boom, boom. The first year, it's like he has to deal with what he has. The second year, you're able to make a couple moves. The third year, now we're getting knee deep in. Now it's starting to look like a Brian fan. And we've seen every year it's just gotten better and better. So I expect nothing different this year. And I think, like you said, I think we're going to be definitely top 5 in most categories. And one thing that I'm super excited to see how it turns out is the secondary. You know, I want to see, because part of me, like, as much as the defensive line, as Vikings fans, we've been sitting back and saying, we need to get better there. We need to get better there. I think with the players that they added with Hargrave and Allen, I think they kind of handle that. I don't think we have to think too hard about if they're going to be good. I think they've proven that in the NFL, across the league, that as long as they're healthy and available, they're going to make an impact regardless. So I think we can kind of take our minds off that as Vikings fans. I'm more excited to see what this secondary is going to do. You know, I'm super excited about Jeff Okudah. You know, I seen some reports out of camp where he's with the ones right now.
Yep.
Brian Flores likes him. He's with the ones, man. You know, and I'm gonna tell you, people were laughing and crucifying your boy RAP. But I'm gonna tell you, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised, man, when you see Jeff out there with the ones, you know, doing his thing, turning into a demon. I'm here for it, man. I can't wait to see how that turns out, man. You know, on top of Ivan Pace Jr., you know, we just seen a report that he got a pick 6 in practice the other day. Feels like he's right where he needs to be. Every training camp, he just seems to be causing havoc. So I'm excited about that, man. Blake Cashman. I mean, everything about the defense. But the one player for sure that I think a lot of Vikings fans are watching, and what we talked about last night, and me and you actually talked about, is Dallas Turner. And I think Dallas Turner, obviously, he's like the JJ McCarthy of the defense, right? We gotta see it. We gotta see it in 2025. We really have to see how Brian Flores gets him involved more than what he did last year, because this is the year where we have to see if he was worth the 17th pick in the NFL draft. That's just what it is.
Rap, I give you a lot of credit, man, because the last time I was on your show, I hadn't thought about this until you brought it up on your show in terms of Dallas Turner maybe playing a little bit more linebacker. And when you said that, it kind of hit me. And I said, you know what? That makes a lot of sense, because I've been telling people right now, like, I don't think, you know, if we could inject Brian Flores and KOC full of truth serum, I don't think that they would have thought that Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel would have hit like they hit last year. Like, I think they thought that they would be good. But those two dudes hit, man. And I think that really hurt Dallas Turner's production, and especially his time being able to get on the field. So I don't think it's going to be any different this year, bro. I don't. I think Jonathan Grenard is who he is. I think Andrew Van Ginkel is who he is. And if they make Dallas Turner just specifically an edge rusher, I just don't think he gets the time over those guys. So they're going to have to move him around. And I think that's the game plan. KOC has come out and said that Dallas Turner is going to take a huge step in year 2, which leads me to believe that they are going to find hybrid ways to use him. I think he's going to play a little bit of defensive tackle, obviously edge rush. I think he has shown first week in training camp that they're going to line him up at the inside linebacker spot at times. He's going to drop back in coverage. So I think they're going to use him essentially the same way they use like a Josh Metellus. And I think every time a quarterback comes up to that offensive line, they're going to have to check off and be like, okay, where's Dallas Turner? Because I think he's going to wreak havoc. I think the young man has a lot of talent, and I think you are going to see a huge jump between what you saw last year and year 2 this year.
No, absolutely. Like, you know, he could be the Josh Metellus 2.0, where you use him everywhere on the line and everywhere in the every linebacker spot. You can use him. You're going to be able to use him every single opportunity you get. You can move him here, move him there, and confuse him. On top of doing it with Josh Metellus too, I mean, yes, that is going to cause a ton of confusion, especially if he shows early and often that he can wreck the game. Like, you think about putting him, I like that idea. Defensive tackle. Imagine putting him right up the middle in front of a center, and he just beats him purely off speed and just gets right to the quarterback and starts wrecking havoc like that. I mean, man, talk about a sight to see. I can't wait. And I think it's gonna happen like that. Because like you said, that's really the only path I see. Because again, Van Ginkel, Bernard, they are who they are. Is there a possibility they're 1 year deeper into their career and they lose a step? I mean, yeah, I just don't see that though. I mean, if I'm sitting back thinking about it right now, I see them being just as productive, if not a little more than they were last year. So we'll have to see. We'll
Yeah,
have
I
to see
think
about that.
Yeah, I think in terms of the secondary, I think you made a great call on Jeff Okudah. I'm a Jeff Okudah fan. He's an Ohio State Buckeye. I'm a Buckeye guy, so I got to root for my guy. He's getting a lot of reps with the ones. Obviously, Isaiah Rogers, is someone that B-Flow likes. Byron Murphy Jr. just got his bag, and he's been looking good his first week of training camp. What do you expect from Mekhi Blackman coming off an ACL? I think he was highly touted before he got hurt. Now he's in a cornerback competition. Do you see, a situation where he comes in and he's one of the focal point cornerbacks, maybe in dime situations, maybe in nickel situations that he's used? Do you see a lot of production from him this year?
I mean, to be honest, I don't. Like,
Okay.
I know there's a lot of Vikings fans that do like Mekhi Blackman and have this hope of that he's going to be good, and that's cool. Nothing against you guys who believe that. I don't see it. I think a lot of it's going to be based off of what Jeff Okudah does too, though. Like if Jeff Okudah shows that, all right, bro, you just don't have it. All right, this is your 6th year. You've been with multiple coaches. I don't know what happened from college to now. You just don't have it, brother. Then I think that's an opportunity for Mekhi Blackman to get some more reps there. But if Jeff Okudah goes out and plays like we believe he's going to be able to play,
Right.
oh yeah, Mekhi Blackman's getting buried on the depth chart unless an injury happens. Good depth piece though.
Yeah.
We need it. I'm not saying that he's not needed because he's needed now, but I'm just saying I don't think there's going to be a situation there where it's like, yeah, Mekhi Blackman's out there with the ones. He's going to be the other outside corner. I think they're right now they're saying Byron Murphy, all right, Isaiah Rogers, Jeff Okudah, everybody else fall in line, and we're gonna go from there. We're gonna see because I don't think Isaiah Rogers' job is a full lock either. Although he was the first player that we went and got in free agency, I don't think they just gave him a starting position and said, okay, you can't lose this job. Because a guy like Byron Murphy, he can't lose his job. Like you just invested in him. Once you invest in a player like that, you're the star. You're automatically your spot's on lock. Even if you get cooked, we're gonna let you die on your shield this year. But like a players like Isaiah Rogers, Jeff Okudah's, these players are the players where the young guys behind them, like the Mekhi Blackmans, the Nudies of the world, that's their opportunity to show that you're better than those players. And if you show that, then you'll get an opportunity, but I don't see it. I got high hopes on Jeff Okudah balling out. I think Isaiah Rogers is going to be good enough to hold on to that spot. I think that's the lineup, Coach. I think those are the three.
I am right there with you on Mekhi Blackman. Like I just don't think 2025 is his year in terms of production. I think it's a year where he's going to have to develop. Obviously, he's not going to miss time. Hopefully, coming back from that knee injury, I just think he is going to be developing behind the scenes. I'm not saying that he won't hit the field at all, but I just don't think he's going to be in that rotation of cornerbacks. Maybe 2026 may be a different story. But man, I'm right there with you. I don't see that this year from him, especially with the guys that they're bringing in. Give me your thoughts about this, man, because this one is still kind of irking me. I'm not saying that the Minnesota Vikings made a bad decision. They made the decision that they had to make. But I think a big loss in his defense is going to be Cam Bynum. Now, Theo Jackson got his bag where, he's going to be back there. Josh Metellus, from what I hear, may move into that spot full time as well instead of bouncing all over the place. But he's got some contract issues that he's trying to work out. Like, do you look at Cam Bynum and what he brought to the table last year as being a huge loss for the Minnesota Vikings?
I don't look at it as a huge loss. I believe Cam Bynum is replaceable. You know what I mean? Like super.
Yeah.
I think he's easily replaced. Let's say that. not to take away from the guy. I mean, he had his games where he would be all over the field, making a ton of tackles. He was great at he got a lot better at tackling than when he
Right.
first came into the league. So you could tell he was putting in the work on that. You know, semi good at reading coverage, getting the interceptions. A lot of his interceptions were more of the offense making a mistake as far as just him being right place, right time, which I give credit to DBs that are in the right place at the right time, because I think you still have to study to be able to do that. But I think, it goes back. I think he's replaceable for the money he was asking. I don't think the drop off from him to Theo, I don't think it's going to be big enough for us as fans to notice. You know,
Totally agree with that.
I
I
don't think it's going
totally
to be
agree.
big enough for us to notice. And
Yeah.
and another thing too, I'm with all the celebration and stuff like that. I will say though, the last game rubbed me the wrong way with Cam Bynum, and Josh Metellus was part of that, but Cam Bynum in particular, because he spent the whole week, posting videos on social media. Just, it was all about the celly. You know what I mean? It was nothing about the game and all about the celly. And then the game came around and you're getting stiff armed. That was the game where you missed the most tackles this
Yeah.
season. You were getting embarrassed out there, and a lot of it was on you. A lot of it was on Brian Flores, keeping you in the box and making you the last line of defense, which he shouldn't have done against a running back like Jahmyr Gibbs. That just doesn't make sense. So I'll put some blame on Brian Flores. But man, getting embarrassed like that, but yet leading up into that, it was all about the what celebration we gonna do and this, that, and the third. It rubbed me the wrong way as a fan, because it made me feel like you weren't really focusing on the main thing. You weren't focusing on the main thing, man. And now all of a sudden you want this bag and all this. And no, you got to go, brother. It's all good. We love you. Love your story, bringing your wife over, all this stuff, man. The things you do for your country, man. Love it. Nothing bad against him, man. But him not being a Viking doesn't bother me at all. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail dead on the head when it comes to that. I think with the Minnesota Vikings celebration and all that stuff with Metellus and Bynum, it kind of took off, and it just became this thing. So when you say they lost focus, I believe they did lose focus, because to come up with some of the stuff that they were doing, man, takes time. And so that means you're not getting reps in the things that you're supposed to be getting reps in. You're focusing on the wrong thing. And Cam Bynum, I'm right there with you, man. He was a solid player for us.
Mhm.
If he would have came in at a lower price, of course I would have had Cam Bynum back.
Absolutely.
But the amount of money that he got and the amount of money that he was asking, nah. And again, man, I'm right there with you. Theo Jackson, there's not that much of a drop off between those two. I would argue that Theo Jackson may be a better athlete. I would argue that he has a little bit more awareness. I would argue that he's a little bit more of a thumper back there as well. So Theo Jackson's going to get his opportunity. I can't wait to see how that pans out. But then, like, the elephant in the room right now is Josh Metellus and his contract. And I'm interested in your take on this, because I know where I stand. Like, do you pay Josh Metellus? Like, obviously we need him for 2025 season. Like,
Yeah.
I get that. I get that sense of urgency. But do you pay Josh Metellus the bag that he is asking for?
So I haven't really seen, I haven't seen it come out. I think we all know he wants to be paid, but I haven't
Yep.
seen the number that he wants to be paid. So it's really hard for me to gauge, because I think that's what the holdup is right now too. Being that he plays so many different, positions on the field, I think it's a case of his agent saying, wait a minute, whoa, wait a minute. Like, we understand that the safety market is the safety market, but hold up. You guys don't use my client as just a safety though. So we kind of gotta have a hybrid conversation here at the negotiation table, because it's easy for us to say, okay, this is the safety market. This is where my player ranks. Boom. This is how much this is his worth. Let's get it done. But I think what's holding it up is, oh no, do we go with the linebacker market? Do we go with the safety market, the cornerback market, being that he plays nickel too? I don't know. Let's sit down and have a conversation. Or do we kind of figure out what all these guys are getting paid in those position groups, and then we kind of find us a middle ground where we can say, because it's a business, and that's just what it is. The Vikings chose, based off of his skill set, and he's good at it, Metellus, being able to move around and being here and there on the field. Perfect. But now that the contract conversations are being had, it puts the Vikings in and they caused this on theirself. And not saying it's a bad thing because he is performing well while doing it. But now it's like, how do we really? What's the real value of a player like this? Because if you think about it across the league, I don't think there's been too many situations like this. So his agent and him are in a whole different type of negotiation problem where they're saying, man, what is the price tag for a guy like this? Because I got to see, because there might be a team that may lack at linebacker, lack at nickel, and lack at safety. And a guy like Josh Metellus can be a solution for all of those things in one price. And how much are they willing to pay down the street? So let me go have some conversations.
There you go.
You know what I mean? So let me see.
There you go.
Because what y'all not going to do is just pay me as one specific position, because that's not what's being done here. So, hey, look, man, it's interesting. I will say, based off of yesterday, it seems like it's getting a little more interesting because, reports came out that he tweaked an ankle. So, we've been down this road before. I think I always compare agents to lawyers, attorneys, where they're going to give you their advice. And I think as we maybe saw a couple players tweak some things in the first couple days, hey, his agent probably really gave him a serious phone call and said, hey, look, man, I know your drive. I know your love for the sport. I know you love this team. You love this organization, but I got to be honest with you. If something really does happen to you out there, bro, we're walking away empty-handed. Like, for real. Like, this is not just for tomorrow. This is the rest of your life. You have a wife. You have kids.
There you go.
I think he has one or two kids. Like, you can't think about tomorrow, man. Look, I know you want to be out there and you want to play, and if it was up to you, you don't care about the money. You're just going to go out there. But I think we need to figure something out, Josh, before you go out there. I'm telling you, let's keep working at this table, man. Let's see what they're going to do, because we need to get it done sooner than later. Because if you do go out there and play this year and you do have a season and an injury, talk about the conversation after that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Rap, I think it's a big number, man. I think I have not seen any reports on what the number is, but I think it's a big number only because I think what they're selling to the Minnesota Vikings brass is that I'm a Swiss Army knife guy. Like, I can do this, I can do that.
Bynum got 16, coach. So, so kind of, what are you kind of thinking we're going to be at?
Man, I think it's around about that number, Rap.
Okay.
And here's the deal. Like, if I'm being honest, and maybe I'm in the minority, I don't know how productive Josh Metellus was last year.
Yeah.
Like, I know he had his good moments, but when you look at his whole body of work, he can be replaced. Like, I don't remember a lot of games where we were just calling Josh Metellus all game long. I saw games where Jonathan Grenard had his games and Van Ginkel had his games, but I don't remember like really one game where it was the Josh Metellus game. Yep. And I think people just get so enamored with him moving around all over the place. Yes, that's the luxury. And again, he is a solid player, man. Don't get me wrong. But I think the number that they're asking for is a big number. And I think their selling point is, hey, we do this for the Vikes. We do this, we do this, we do this. And I think from the Minnesota Vikings standpoint is they respect that. But I think a lot of people in that front office, a lot of people on that coaching staff is like, man, how productive is Josh Metellus? I mean, do you remember a Josh Metellus game?
I know there was one game at the beginning of the season, I feel like, where he got like a fire interception. Okay. I can't remember what game it was, but it might have been the Texans game, maybe, man. It was when no. He had a good game against the Falcons too. That he picked off. He was the first one to pick off Kirk Cousins. I remember that. But I will say this, Coach. There was some games where he was getting burnt a lot too, though, over that middle and chasing down and missing tackles and things like that. I mean, so I agree with you. Like, I love Josh Metellus. It's funny. I put out a poll the other day on the channel, and I was like, only one of these, both players are due contract. I don't know if you've seen it on the community tab. Both players are due contracts here. You can only keep one. Ivan Pace Jr. or Josh Metellus? Which one you keeping, right? Now, surprisingly, a lot of our community went with Josh. I think Josh, out of like, I think it's up to like 500 votes right now. You know, Josh Metellus is a little above 60%, which is surprising to me. I'm going Ivan Pace there, you know, and that goes back to, I think, and this is going to go back to our Dallas Turner talk, right? I think if you're Van Ginkel and you got Grenard, and now me and you just had the conversation about how we're good. The Vikings, they may be moving Dallas Turner to play a lot more linebacker, keep him in the box, roam here, roam there, play back in coverage. Could Dallas Turner just be kind of a replacement for, you know, taking away some of the things that Josh Metellus maybe did offer the past couple years? Can Dallas Turner fulfill those? You know, because like Theo, let's just keep true safeties now. We have safeties that are going to play safety. That's just what it is. We have linebackers that are going to play linebackers. But then we
Right.
have Dallas Turner that can play linebacker. He can play back in coverage as a linebacker, but he also can get on the line. He's the Swiss Army knife now, closer up into the box. It's more effective. I feel like that's more effective. So I don't know, man. Dallas Turner may be I'll say this, as the contract negotiations tend to happen, and we talk about is he really worth this, that, and the third, and can we replace him? Which I do believe Josh Metellus is replaceable. Don't be surprised if Dallas Turner name gets brought up in that negotiation room. Like, well, you know, we got a young guy that we drafted that you know, as far as you, because it gets nasty in them rooms, Coach.
Yeah, it does.
You know, it gets nasty, man, and
Yeah, it does.
that's business. I mean, you talking millions of dollars, it's gonna get nasty. Regardless, they'll tell you they love you, but at the end of the day, man, it's what's best for, you know, each side. That's just what it is. Like everybody looking for the best for them, and they don't be surprised if they throw Dallas Turner name out there. Like, hey man, we got a boy we invested in, Dallas Turner, man. We think he's gonna be able to really take that responsibility off you as far as, you know, the linebacker thing that you play a lot. You know, we gonna cut that back a little bit, man. We got Dallas Turner there. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. This is Unconventional Playbook. Please hit that like and subscribe button. We got rap vocal Vike from the Purple Pocket podcast. And listen, man, I'm telling people out there, if you want great Viking content, man, check out this brother's channel. It is absolutely box office rap. Before I get you out of here, man, I want to talk about some names, guys that maybe people didn't expect to, you know, do well maybe the first week, but names that are popping up are guys like Levi Drake Rodriguez had a really good week. Tyron Ingram Dawkins, good week. Is there a player out there that maybe is not on people's radar that you think is just going to have a great training camp for the month of August? Is there someone that you think this dude is not on anybody's radar, but he's going to make the 53 and he's going to make an impact for the Minnesota Vikings this year?
So can I do a couple? Because
you can do a couple. Absolutely.
So there's one that it seems pretty obvious. Is Zamiah Vaughn, the cornerback? Because I know we were talking about cornerback position too. But even Kwesi came out and had like a whole segment about him during an interview. You know, speaking about Zamiah Vaughn. He like, they were talking about younger players and players they brought in, but Kwesi made it a point to, you know, emphasize Zamiah Vaughn. So I look at things like that. Not only that, some of the beat writers that were there at training camp watching, they were like, yo, this kid's Zamiah Vaughn though. Like, hold up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I want to give a shout out to my boy Randy, man, Realistic Randy. He was on Zamiah Vaughn from day one, the moment we brought him in. He went and did some homework on him, and he was like, yo, something about this kid Zamiah Vaughn, man. When you watch his tape, man, this kid's long. He's aggressive. At the box, he's hungry. At the line. I mean, man, listen, man, this is a Brian Flores guy. You know, so I wouldn't be surprised about him. As far as making the 53, I don't know, you know, just based off of the guys we brought in. But if he's good like they're saying he is, then, you know, that's a possibility. You know, my number one is Silas Bolden.
Yes, sir.
I think Silas Bolden's going to make an impact and make the 53. You know, I'll give you one from each. So I'll do offense, defense, and special teams. We'll say Silas Bolden is special teams. That I think he's going to be able to make a spot on the team strictly off of punt returning. and being that electric guy, and hopefully we can use him in the offense here and there. No, here and there. I ain't asking for too much, once every bi-weekly. You know what I mean? Bi-weekly, throw a play in there. You feel me? Just bi-weekly, just throw a bubble screen in there or something.
That's right. That's right.
But I think he has a good chance, man. And then I'm gonna go with on the offense, man. I think a player that people maybe sleeping on a little bit, but it kind of went under the radar is Walter Rouse, which was a guy we drafted at Oklahoma, I believe. Oklahoma, the tackle there that can also play guard as well. People forget about, but I see a lot of his face, man. There's a lot of his face I've been seeing just popping there. He's in the background, man. They doing those. They're doing those little. They doing those little trivias and stuff. And my boy just walking past the screen. I'm like, who's that? Number 70? Who's that number 78? That big dude right there, man. You know what I mean? Hey, he looked like he bought his business. And they really believed in that kid when we drafted him. And I always feel like when there's a guy that's under the radar, not being talked about like that, but tends to stick around and actually make the roster, I'm like, there's something about this guy that's there, and they're just waiting to unleash him. And right now, being the uncertainty we do have with the offensive line, because yes, Fries is out there, they're not on the PUP list. Darrisaw, surprisingly, which that's a blessing. I'm curious to see how that turns out the closer we get to week one. And Kelly, I mean, you think about it, all of these guys are coming off injury, even O'Neal. Only person that's 100% healthy is our rookie, Donovan Jackson.
That's right.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So all of these guys are what ifs that are possibly be ready right now at this moment. So I'm interested to see what a guy like Rouse and Logan Brown too from Kansas that we brought in UDFA. There's a lot of hype by him. So those are the guys, man. I'll say keep an eye on. And hey, it's time. It's time.
Yeah.
Real quick, Coach, we tend as Vikings fans to forget, because this is the thing. I wanted to give some guys like Walter Rouse and stuff like that some praise from last year, and I want to throw Bo Ricker in there too really quick, because we tend to forget about the guys that we had high hopes on, UDFAs, etc. last year, because I feel like every year it's almost like you're just going and shopping for a new car. So you see the new shiny thing, and you tend to forget about the 2024 model, right? But the 2024 models still, they've been working. They've been working this whole time. They've been putting in the work. Don't be surprised if some of these names, Gabriel Murphy. I mean, there's a ton of names. I challenge Vikings fans that's watching this to go back and go down the list of the guys we brought in last year, UDFAs or whatever, and that didn't get opportunities to actually get on the field last year. Go look at and see what they've been doing during this past off season. Go look at the conversations being had about those players, because I'm gonna tell you right now, man, we had some players last year that were projected to be really good, and they're still here. So hey, and this is their year. You know what I mean? This is when they pop out. We about to see it in the next couple of days, man. Let's go.
Yeah, that's a great take, Rap. That is a great take, and it's an educational take for NFL fans, let alone Viking fans. I think sometimes we get caught up in the hype. And so, the last year there was a lot of narratives coming out about a lot of our undrafted free agents, how good they were, what their strengths were. And I think a lot of people expected them to be on the field a lot. Man, sometimes this development takes a couple years. Like you mentioned the name Bo Richter. Man, I think Bo Richter is going to be a stud. He's a little small, but he's got great instincts, man. And I think he is someone that over the course of just being a Minnesota Viking, man, I think he is going to be heard from. Nudie is going to be heard from.
Absolutely.
Levi Drake Rodriguez is going to be heard from. Just because these guys really didn't hit the field last year doesn't mean that they're, out of the conversation. I think that's a great take by you. I want to talk about really, really quick that third running back spot, Ty Chandler. Is Ty Chandler at the end of everything on this team by week one? We know his talent.
Yeah.
But I think it's no secret. The thing is, he can't pass block. He misses a lot of assignments when teams blitz.
Yeah.
Now we got our franchise quarterback back there. We can't have that. Rebuilt that offensive line. We can't have JJ McCarthy taking hits.
Yeah.
Obviously, we brought in Jordan Mason. I think he is going to be 1A, 1B with Aaron Jones, however you want to do that. But then there's Ty Chandler. Like, I'm trying to figure out what his role is going to be going forward with the Minnesota Vikings. KOC usually keeps things close to the vest.
Yeah.
And he usually doesn't throw his players under the bus. But it
Yeah.
seems like to me every time he talks about Ty Chandler, the first thing that he brings up is that Ty Chandler goes out and he makes great plays for us. But then the next play, something happens. And that's coming from KOC. And when I hear KOC talk like that, because I know how conservative he is, you know, it makes me a little concerned for Ty Chandler being on his team. Do you see him on the 53?
Hey, man, Ty Chandler is a tough one to evaluate. I will say this: I think he has to make his bread and butter, shall you say, in special teams right now. I think he's back at that type of level. Unfortunately, I think he is. If he wasn't, we wouldn't have went and got Jordan Mason. We would have trusted Ty Chandler to take over with Aaron Jones. So that right there shows me the first signal of, okay, there's some doubt here, but they're not giving up all the way. I will say though, man, speaking of the young players, let's not forget about Trey Stewart coming out of Jack State, man. Listen.
Yep, I like him.
Man, listen, if that kid can play if that kid puts it together, Ty Chandler good is gone. Yeah, Ty Chandler good is gone. It is what it is. That's not to say that another team won't invest in a guy like Ty Chandler. I think Ty Chandler brings some type of value. I just think we may be outgrowing him. Kind of like how we did with Alexander Madison. We may just be outgrowing him right this moment. And Trey Stewart, man, that's going to be another battle that I want to see this and starting today, really, because the fans get to go out and watch today. I don't know when we're releasing this episode, Coach, man, but for the ones who watch, man, appreciate y'all. Because today is the day for us, man, where
Today's the day.
Fans are out there, you know what I'm saying? They watching training camp. And we're going to get some video clips out the wazoo, man. And I can't wait to see which player here, which player there. And the running back one's going to be interesting, man. Trey Stewart going against Ty Chandler. I think Ty Chandler, to answer your question, is I see him making the 53, but I do believe he's on the bubble. You know what I mean? I do believe he's on the bubble. I think this is a off-season training camp situation here where he has to prove something. It's not just you're on the team just because your name Ty Chandler and you've been with us for no. You are on the bubble. You can be cut, and nobody's going to be surprised if it happens. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. Last question for you, Rap, and then I'm going to get you out of here, man. I know you're a busy man. Thanks again for being on the podcast. When you look at everything the Vikings have done, this offseason, we've got our quarterback in place. What's a successful season for the 2025 Minnesota Vikings? I know it's easy to say, obviously, Super Bowl, man. That's the ultimate goal. Right. But what's a successful season in your eyes for the Minnesota Vikings? What do you want to see from this squad?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think to keep it very simple and straightforward, man, first of all, I think a successful season that's not only going to affect, what JJ McCarthy, what we have there, but Kevin O'Connell first of all, we need to make the playoffs, but we need to win a playoff game. Kevin O'Connell has been to the playoffs twice and has gotten beat in both of them and gotten beat ugly, and where both of them just kind of look weird. You know what I mean? So if it happens again, as much as we love Kevin O'Connell, the conversations are going to get tougher for the ones who support him. For the ones who support him, we're going to have to argue now to the community about why we should keep him and extend him, and because, hey, just give him some time. But, time is ticking. All right. You're having these rosters, all this talk, and especially with the national media speaking about how good our roster is, put together, we add in this, that, and the third. Okay, with that being said, that puts a lot of pressure on Kevin O'Connell. A successful season for the Minnesota Vikings is, winning 10 to 11 games. 14 is a reach. I don't expect us to win 14 games, and I'm not using last year as a gauge of what this year is going to be, because the circumstances are different. We have a quarterback that, is young and hasn't really played an NFL game in real life. So there's a kind of different dynamic there. But I'll say 10 to 11 games, maybe squeak into a wild card, but handle your business during the wild card game. If we get bounced out the next round, yes, we're going to be sad, but we have something to build off. We really see the vision now. Okay, we can make it. Not only can we make it to the playoffs, with this quarterback and this coach and this staff, but we could also win in the playoffs. I think getting to that, being able to win in the playoffs is the box that we need to check under this regime. So that's what I call a successful season.
Yeah. When I look at the Vikings, man, and, I look at, man, what's a successful season for me? I think there's a lot of different components to what this season is going to look like. I think a lot of it really depends. Those first 5 games, Rap, I think is so crucial, man. I just think it sets the tone for the season. And if we are the team that I think we're going to be, at worst, we come out of that thing 4-1. Yeah. And I think we have a really good ability to go 5-0 during that stretch. But, everybody stubs their toe every now and then. So I give them 4-1. I think with Aaron Rodgers going to the Steelers and some of the pieces that the Steelers have added, and then my respect for Mike Tomlin, I think that Steelers game is going to be a little bit tougher than it was maybe a couple of months ago. But I do think the Vikings have to go at least 4-1 because when they come out of that 5 games, they've got a gauntlet. I mean, they got some defensive coordinators. They got some teams that can play that have really, really good pedigrees. So the start is crucial. Yeah. The start is going to be crucial. I think I would like to see at some point in time, although technically he's not a rookie, but this is his first time being under center. Like, I want to see the franchise guy, JJ McCarthy. I want to see glimpses that he is the guy, getting the guys in and out of the huddle, coming back from maybe mistakes that he's made during the course of the game. Like, I want to see that. We haven't had that. We've had some skittish quarterbacks, Rap, to be honest with you. Yeah. Kirk Cousins, when things went bad, he would fold tent. Sam Darnold, when things went bad, he would fold tent. I'm looking forward to having a quarterback in the backfield that can handle adversity. So I think the start, the quarterback being able to handle adversity is really key. And then I want to see the true Kevin O'Connell, because I've been on record saying I think the previous 3 years he's been doing a lot of things with smoke and mirrors. The first group that he had, it was basically, a good portion of the team was Zimmer guys. And then you had the season where, Kirk Cousins got hurt. And then you had a stopgap quarterback in Sam Darnold. Now, Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah has built this thing where now this team is starting to resemble what Kevin O'Connell wants to do as a head coach. So I want to see a jump in that. I want to see, a better screen game. I want to see a better running game. And I'm with you. I see double-digit wins for this team. I think they make the playoffs. I think a lot of it is going to be determined how good the Detroit Lions are going to be, them losing their coordinators. I don't fear the Chicago Bears. And then the Green Bay Packers are a big unknown. So when I look at the Minnesota Vikings, double digits, making the playoffs, and at least getting that playoff win, if not making a run during the playoffs, I think is a successful season for the Minnesota Vikings.
Let's go, man. We on the same page, Coach. Let's get it. Let's
Well, Rap, hey, man, thanks for making an appearance, your first appearance on Unconventional Playbook. A lot of people don't know this out there, but I've been throwing it out there. Rap and I are going to be doing a lot during the course of the season. We're going to be hitting this thing every week, just talking Minnesota Vikings football, previewing games, analyzing games, stuff like that. So, man, I'm really looking forward to working with you and knocking this thing out, man. I think it's going to be hot.
Man, likewise, man. I cannot wait. We're going to officially let everybody know, the kind of win. And when we get that all situated, man, we will release that. But just know it's coming for sure, man. And I can't wait. I think there's going to be a lot of great conversations to be had and a lot of excitement, man. The ups and downs, man. So everybody, make sure you tap in with us, man. Go through all the emotions with us throughout this long, fun season, shall I say, man. I can't wait, man. It's going to be exciting.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And again, man, for those guys that haven't had an opportunity to check out Rap's podcast, it's the Purple Pocket Podcast. Vocal Vike. I will put his link in the comments so you guys can go over there and check him out. You will not be sorry. One of the best podcasts out there. Rap, thanks a lot, man, for coming on the show. And we'll be in touch soon, man.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you, Coach, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, this has been Unconventional Playbook, and we will make sure to see ya when we see ya. Skol!
Skol, baby!